graveyard, complete with over 500 giant human remains, has not only been accidentally discovered, but publicly exhumed, and most crucial of all, photographed for all the world to see within China. Could this be a retaliatory move with other motives at play? If our previously mentioned theory is true, it would enable man to explain the inexplicably, seemingly impossible size of many of the world's megaliths, and indeed still standing megalithic structures of the world. How a pyramidal, treasury, and many other ancient architectures' lintels and top stones, often weighing many hundreds of tons, were not only transported from quarries many hundreds of miles, but placed aloft many meters with seeming ease. Furthermore, we have in the past not only postulated and have also presented reams of witness testimony and photographic corroboration, still to be found in newspaper archives across the Western world, describing these finds, but also the Smithsonian's efficiency in not only dealing with the matter, but disappearance of any further reporting, thus exploration. This also supporting the reason for lost pieces of the puzzle, which is inhibiting us from unlocking the secrets to these sites' construction. Perhaps we may never know the true motivations for such a controversial exposure in China, but nonetheless, the resulting fallout of proof presented for our community is a step closer to the truth, the untangling of a tired and tangled web of lies in which many have weaved. For at the bottom of Pandora's box, there is always hope.
We've often covered the perplexing finds of giant skeletons, which have been repeatedly reported all over the world. We delved into the rumors and evidence of a considerable conspiracy surrounding the Smithsonian Institute and their cover-up of these remains. However, thankfully, it seems modern technology has made this job virtually impossible, and the evidence which has surfaced over the last few decades has finally been getting the publicity it deserves. For example, curious remains guarded by a humble priest from a small village within Ecuador have finally been allowed to see the light of day, and the true extent to this astounding cover-up is beginning to be revealed. Father Carlos Vaca has protected remains of ancient beings for many decades, and upon examination, it was found that they once belonged to people of over 7 meters in height. Apparently, the remains had been discovered from a site called Changaminas in Ecuador, and curiously, Changaminas translates as God's Cemetery. Although reports have surfaced from within Ecuador for over a century regarding finds of similar scales, this is the first time that such remains have remained within the public domain. The Mystery Park in Interlaken, Switzerland, for example, has held since 2004 a reconstruction of a 7-meter specimen of an apparent human being that would have been just over 7 meters in height that was found within Loja. According to Father Carlos Vaca, the remains which he had successfully safeguarded until a time of his own death were given to him by Father Crespi, a figure who collected a vast array of perplexing, highly controversial, and incredible artifacts, including remnants of a puzzling metal library we have previously covered. Unfortunately, upon the event of Father Crespi's death, his collection was ransacked, replaced with clear forgeries and cheap fakes. However, it seems Father Carlos Vaca may have kept some of these artifacts safe until his own death in 1999, upon which they luckily sank into the archives of the Ecuadorian Museum. Are these remains really that of giant human beings? Just who could they have belonged to? Has there really been a concerted effort to conceal these enormous remains from the world for over a century? If so, the question is, where are all these remains now? His collection also contains strange utensils, minerals, and compounds of magical properties, which according to many authors could explain numerous archaeological mysteries that have not yet been deciphered. Some of the bone fragments were supposedly sent to the Smithsonian Institute for further analysis, the results of which were surprisingly broadcast on a television program in Ecuador led by renowned director Alfonso Espinosa de los Monteros. Could the legends be true and the aptly named City of Giants be named after the real thing? It seems thankfully as time goes on, the truth is slowly being revealed. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.
During our research, we have stumbled across countless legends and accounts from history which tell of ancient giants. Not only legends, but photographic evidence, and an equal amount of initial newspaper reports of their discovery. This often accompanied with the mention of the Smithsonian Institute's insatiable interest in such finds, and then an inevitable erasure of said finds from future research. Rarely has an ancient giant been allegedly found, with the remains seemingly slipping the net of said institute's attention, making it into mainstream research and an ally's collection before the Smithsonian was able to make said discovery vanish from history. Kaptua being one of these particular finds, which not only matches the initial claims, but has remained in mainstream historical research. Tales of a two-headed, 11-foot-tall giant are not only corroborated by photographic evidence, but the actual mummified corpse of the giant himself. The initial discovery of this incredible being was made back in 1673. An ogre, or two-headed giant, is said to have assaulted a party of Spanish sailors, who fortunately overcame said giant with cunning. After trapping the giant, the sailors planned on killing it, fearing repercussions if released. The cause of the giant's death, however, has long been debated, but what cannot be denied is the astonishing remains which eventually made their way to London. The mummy then vanishes from the history books for nearly 400 years, reappearing in 1914 on the shores of the Burnbeck Harbour in the UK. The mummy inevitably became an extremely popular attraction, with people traveling from thousands of miles away to come and peer at this once monstrous two-headed giant. It remained in the public eye until 1959, a rare exhibit which escaped the clutches of those who would wish to hide it, with many photographs and other research projects allowed to be undertaken on the giant's remains by Lord Howard. This incredible giant, thanks to the Lord's dedication to said curiosity, remains in existence within the public's domain, an undeniable verification of a lost race of giants, which we have long claimed to have had first-hand experience of in their past discovery. A magnificent 3-meter-tall mummified corpse of an ancient giant does indeed exist, and due to its age and primitive technologies available to said claimed sailors, when initially discovered, the possibility of it being an elaborate stitched-together hoax has been seemingly debunked, but also ignored by mainstream media due to the controversial nature of said finds. Who was Kaptua? Was he part of a race of beings in Patagonia, a race we have merely seen these remains of? Is the corpse authentic? If not, how is he constructed to such an astonishing detail so far back in history? Kaptua is undoubtedly highly